for every law that he signs, people can sue once they try and implement it, right? And then they can say, look, he's not, eligible to be president, that sort of thing. I mean, are we grasping at straws there, or what do you think?
You're talking about what, the birth certificate issue?
Yes.
Look, here's the deal. The guy was probably born in Kenya. I'm not going to say I'm 100% on that, but his grandmother did write that in his book. The bigger issue, he's openly an internationalist. He brags about his father coming from Kenya. He brags about his education abroad. He talks about global citizenship. And the thing that's upsetting is that maybe later on they will have it come out, and they will say that foreigners can now be president by proxy. And, I do think it's a legitimate issue, but grasping at straws is probably a good analogy, because they're never going to address this in the mainstream unless they can address it in a positive light. It's the same thing with his Muslim background. Remember, no one dare talk about his Muslim background and his Muslim father before the election. It was something I even shied away from, basically because I really don't care what religious, faith somebody follows in the slightest. It's not a big deal to me. I would rather have people be honest and not be hypocrites like this man. But then he goes to the Middle East 2 weeks ago, and the entire media starts playing up his Muslim heritage. I mean, it was like the Twilight Zone.
But why aren't we pounding away on our congressmen and our senators and whatnot, and locally even?
Well, locally is the key. That's the thing. Locally is the key. Why aren't we pounding away? Why aren't more people joining Campaign for Liberty?
Right. I mean, this should be, now that we're at this point, right, where we've got a rogue, Congress and Senate, I mean, we should be just hammering away on this. And if more than 50% of the people know about it and have a problem with it, it's time to really get a push. I mean, maybe we should have tea parties,
The problem is that Fox will just co-opt them like they did this year. That's the problem. Listen, we had enough people. I'm serious. We had enough people this year to be pissed off about the Federal Reserve. There would have been record numbers at the tea parties anyway. What does Fox do? They usurp them. They praise Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck, right? And the Federal Reserve all of a sudden gets more power than ever 2 months later. Think about how sick and twisted that is. Remember, February the tea parties come. 2 months later, the Federal Reserve is granted carte blanche powers where they will now have more oversight than the SEC. The criminals who brought us here now have power of the oversight, and it's a sick joke with these people that they were able to say, look at how many people are standing up against the Federal Reserve. Look at how many people are standing up against taxes. They just passed a bill that we will be taxed for everything, and the Federal Reserve will regulate it because they are our new lords. That's the sick joke. So people did get upset, but they don't know how to get upset. They don't understand that they actually have to take the power into their own hands. Everybody's expecting somebody else to do it for them. That ain't how it works. You've got to run for city council. You've got to run for state senate. You've got to run for Congress. That's the bottom line. And, I feel guilty even saying that because we had Cindy Sheehan in here, and she talks about how elections are rigged. You're damn right they're rigged, especially when you have Diebold and these other corporate entities running the elections. And we've been trying to expose that since 2000. Since 2000. We are in it's 1984. 1984 is 2009, and it is only going to get worse. I thank you for the call, Ruben. I think I got another Ruben on the line. We'll find out. Ruben in Washington? Yes?
Yes.
All right, back-to-back Rubens. What's up, man?
Hey, it's funny that you should mention that the election thing, because that's actually what I was going to talk about. Because these globalists they've been working at this for what, a couple hundred years or something like that.
Yes. And
we can beat them in like 3. The state legislatures cycle every 2 years, and we've probably got enough people woken up and aware of this, enough patriots out there to where if we all just stop talking about it and start moving in, running for state legislatures and getting into the city councils and doing what the globalists have been doing, getting and infesting our government, and we go in and take it back. On a local level, I think 34 states can abolish the federal government?
Yes, well, there are some provisions out there that they can't abolish the federal government. They can just declare their sovereignty and go by their state constitution instead.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But right then and there, you're basically telling the government that you're not going to go along with like.
Well, all right, hold on. Let's look at this Governor Sanford situation. This guy disappears. I say obviously he's a liar. He's not at the Appalachian Trail Mountains. Now, did they go after this guy because he wanted to do something similar? He didn't necessarily want to declare state sovereignty, but he was one of their boys. You know, he's going to the Bilderberg meeting. He's one of their little elite buddies that usually goes along with the agenda. And then the bailout comes around, and he doesn't want to go with the bailout agenda. He wants to refuse the stimulus money. They won't allow him to refuse the stimulus money. Then he wants to, instead of take the stimulus money and spend it on what they say, he says he wants to take the stimulus money and pay down the state debt that he owes, and they won't allow him to do that either. So did they burn him because of that? I mean, that's a possibility. So as soon as you don't go along with the program stateside, it seems like you're gunned after as well. And Rick Perry talking about sovereignty, this guy is a Bilderberg boy from the... I mean, seriously, man.
No,
Rick Perry,
right. You're absolutely right.
You know what I mean? Rick Perry is one of these guys that they would love to prop up to run in 2012 against Barack Obama. He's a face that they could use. And if not 2012, maybe 2016 or 2020. He is a House politician with a devil's charm and smile, my friend. And listen, Rome wasn't built in a day. If we could get rid of this system in 10, 15, 20 years, I'd be happy. I'd be able to... I would be willing to work my hardest day in and day out until that day came, if it was that far down the line. But again, we have to be focused. We have to realize, again, we can't change everything in a day, and I think 3 years might even be a little too optimistic. That doesn't mean I don't have hope. We'll be back after this. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas, prisonplanet.tv, Infowars.com.